Hey everyone, welcome back to the Castaway Consultants, where we teach future Survivor players how to play the game while criticizing current former players. I'm one of your three fabulous co-hosts, Ryan Stacy, joined tonight by Derek Kubicek and Josh Wessler. We are talking about the Survivor 50 in the Hands of the Fans finale, Reverse the Curse. Guys, how we doing? You know what? I'm not even going to ask how we're doing. We'll get into that because I think that is a spoiler in and of itself. So let's get into spoilers because it's finale night.
And go watch the finale. It's obviously the finale of season 50. Go watch it. 3, 2, you've been warned. 1, spoilers from here on out.
Wait a second, guys. This is Survivor. There's never spoilers in Survivor.
Never. It's never happened.
We never do things in advance of anything. And certainly no members of production ever spoil anything, which was funny enough, like one of the greatest highlights.
Highlight of the evening for me, for sure. All right, 3, 2, 1. Jeff Probst accidentally spoiled the final, the fourth placer, which was so funny. I about died laughing. That is probably my favorite part of the season.
It's not my favorite part of the season, but you know what? Given how handily Jonathan destroyed Rizzo, I think this little production gaffe actually made for a much better TV moment than trying to play up the drama of the Hulk versus a hamster.
You know, they tried. They're really trying. I was intrigued heading into the fire making challenge. Did I think Rizzo was gonna win? No. But I'm like, he could get lucky. You never really know. This is going to be, memorability correspondent. This is going to be much more memorable than Rizzo just, losing. A straightforward loss.
This is much better. And absolutely my favorite part of the finale because we all called our shots perfectly, I think. Do we all have 100%?
All three of us, for the first time ever, all three of us were unanimous in what we thought was going to happen in the finale tonight. We always do our predictions heading into the finale, and all three of us were 5 for 5.
Yay! That's actually not good because that means the TV wasn't that interesting, and that's kind of the finale. Like, it was fine. Production gaffe aside, it was fine. I thought the finalists did a good job at Final Trouble Council, so that was nice to see that everybody did a good job. And I don't have much else to say in terms of noteworthiness. It was fine.
I enjoyed that the production gaffe is the most authenticity that production has pumped into the show in years. And go figure that it's my favorite part. Again, we need to lean into the authenticity of the show. Clearly, the voters, we obviously are sticking with fire making now. I'm sure Jeff Probst loved to see that 60% for forced Final Four fire making come in. So I guess we're going to have to live with that for the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
So just a healthy reminder that Jeff, idols need to expire at 6. Now this needs to be the fix. So we'll say that. But we also need to celebrate Aubrey's win. It was a good win, and I know that Ryan generally less high on returner seasons than Josh and I historically, but this kind of followed the trend of what you anticipate to see from a returner season. Someone whose light has been greatly diminished or has been overseen because of their most recent game, ultimately ducking below the radar long enough for the big personalities to take each other out and then swoop in at the end and win. So, she played about as good of a game as she could have after having a awful episode 1 and then a pretty bad pre-merge in general, at least by our reckoning. So congratulations to Aubrey for that. Again, this is coming from someone who didn't really want her on the season. I wanted her benched for one returner season just because of Edge of Extinction.
Yep.
But you know what? You take the opportunities that are handed to you, and she played a darn good game, and I am happy for her. And all three of our finalists again seem like good people, and I can't really ask for much more than that.
Yeah, congrats obviously to Aubrey. I think it's kind of funny that if you go back to our Survivor 50 cast assessment, I should have listened to it before now, but I'm pretty sure all three of us had Aubrey as one of our least exciting people that we were, going to be seeing back on our TV screens. Just because she won doesn't mean that it's like, oh, wow, we were wrong, because I don't think that she was super entertaining either as a winner. So like congratulations to her. I wouldn't even say she played a darn good game. Like Derek, I would say she played a good game. What she did the best at was timing, which is important in Survivor, especially in a returner season. So she had the best timing of everyone on the season and a good enough social game compared to the people around her.
And played the middle, which I think in this new the open era of Survivor, as we're going to call it, apparently, I think that is important. I think at this point you don't want to be too rock steady with an alliance anymore, because that'll just get you picked off. You want to be able to work with anybody and everybody, so that way when all of the chaos is happening, they don't land on you. They're less likely to land on you. If you put your flag in the ground and say, "Hey, these are my people," well, okay, bye. You're gone. So I would say, I think Survivor might be trying to get rid of alliances, and it slowly, like, it's not like 100% working, but I think it's moving that way. I think they're succeeding in what they're trying to do.
It's more unpredictable that way, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right, but when you start to manufacture away from the things that people tend toward, it's no longer a microcosm of society. It's beast games, right?
It's random crap happening.
Right. It's more of a game of chance. It's more of a lottery. It's less of the stuff that really drew us to the show in the beginning. And it's sad that I'm pretty sure outside of Samotion and a live reunion, I think every single vote went against what we were hoping would happen, which tells me that the majority of the crowd that is making money for Survivor right now, that keeps the engine trucking, doesn't appreciate the game in the same way that we do. I'm having a hard time coming to terms with that after Survivor in the hands of the fans. I'd like to believe that all of these votes were real, but it is a little disheartening to see us move away, and then even when we allegedly had a chance, much like Rizzo building the fire against Jonathan, it seems like there was no chance, and when we were never going to get the things back that we wanted.
Well, should we jump into this finale? I don't think it will take us very long to get through this finale because it was so straightforward.
Yeah, yep. Let's get in.
Okay, final five time. Tiffany is pissed off after Sheree goes home and snaps at everyone. And Tiffany really rubbed me the wrong way in her last stand here. It was just like, oh, poor baby, something went wrong in your game of Survivor. Oh no, go talk to people, work on those social connections, and try and move forward. So yeah, I was unimpressed.
Yeah, especially when this is coming off of the of a vote against Suri. You can't be that surprised and offended when the vote didn't go your way when you won immunity and Suri Fields is the one that went home. You should be expecting that to happen just because you weren't clued in because you were super close with her. This should be the most obvious conclusion of a vote possible. So she just needs to turn around, say, yep, makes sense. I understand why you guys didn't include me in. I wish you would have, but I understand why. And then just start focusing on getting people to vote for Aubrey instead of you. Like that should start right now.
The most interesting part about this happening on the beach is actually a question I want to pose to Ryan, because Tiffany is definitely messy here, and it's bad gameplay. But Ryan, you're annoyed with Tiffany. We've seen you like players in the past who are pretty messy with this stuff. What do you think the difference is in the way that Tiffany comes across, and then like an Abby Maria or a Venus Vafa or these other people that kind of flip out when things don't go their way?
Because Abby, Maria, and Venus are comic relief characters. Like, you're supposed to laugh at them. Where Tiffany, I never got that from the edit. It's like, we're supposed to like her, we're supposed to root for her, and she's supposed to be this big threat. It's like, okay, but where is that? Like, yeah, she's good at challenges, but you're gonna just like break down and have a little temper tantrum when things don't go your way. Like that is something Abby Maria might do. That's not what you're supposed to do if you consider yourself like a quality Survivor player. You don't want any comparisons to Abby Maria.
So it's kind of like there's the show and the contestants are telling us that Tiffany can win the game, but she's behaving like a child.
Yep.
And that's frustrating. Like, the dissonance that's created because of that is really, I don't know. Yeah, there's this disharmony. There's this discordance in your brain where it's like, I feel like I'm plugged into two different things here.
Like, I wish the jury could have seen that and then be like, oh, maybe we don't want to vote for her. Because if I was on the jury and I saw that, I'd be like, What part of that makes you think? Like, my question for Tiffany would be like, what part of this was a good move? Answer me this, and then I'd vote for somebody else.
So you're just passionate, Ryan.
Passionate, I'm a passionate person. Being passionate doesn't mean you have to act like a goddamn idiot. And that's what I feel like people use passion as like a synonym for. Like, oh, you're emotional and you do stupid things and, punch your spouse. Like, oh, no, we're just passionate. What? No.
Well, and I know we're ramping that up to 1,000, but like I used to have an old bowling coach, and I've probably talked about it on the podcast before, where it was like you get 1 second of frustration and then it's time to move on. And honestly, I gotta say, the older I get, the more I realize that he's just giving us grace as dumb teenagers. And if you are a well-adjusted adult, you don't need a second of external validation for your internal feelings. You can take as much time as you need on the inside, but there's still a world spinning around you, and what you do and say and act out in the real world has consequences. And as much as production tries to make it otherwise, Survivor remains the same. You have to be careful how these things come across to other people and to the audience, to America. So I agree. This dropped Tiffany in my mind a little bit, just because, she knew she was the target. She knows she's going home, but that doesn't necessarily give you free reign to just, I don't know, kind of throw a Polly Prissy Pants fit about it.
If I was on the beach with her and then, somehow she got to the end and I ended up on the jury, I would be much less inclined to vote for her. I mean, obviously there's if everybody on the beach was doing this, then you have to vote for one of them. But it's just something to keep in mind. Like, this kind of stuff does rub people the wrong way, and that might lose you a vote in the end. We're going to go to the immunity challenge. Jonathan is going to win by one puzzle piece. It's crazy close. Man, if Tiffany had won this, how things change.
The winner of Survivor 50, Tiffany, probably.
Maybe.
Yeah, or maybe Jonathan, and maybe Tiffany goes out at 4 somehow. I
guess you never know what happens. That's motion then after that. But yep. I do think that Aubrey would go home instead of Tiffany.
Yeah. So Tiffany's the target. She's going to try her best to paint the target on Aubrey. It does not work. So we're going to go to tribal council. Rizzo places idol. It's 4 votes for Tiffany, 1 vote for Aubrey. Allegedly, this is the right move. I agree. Because let's take a look at it. If Tiffany and Aubrey are the top 2, and Jonathan, Rizzo, and Joe want to go to the end together, Tiffany just has 1 more challenges. Like if you're a betting guy, you're going to bet on Tiffany being more likely to win at the Final Four than Aubrey. So it mathematically, it just makes sense that Tiffany's the vote here.
Right, and I think we did get a question, and because there is an option on the table, and we don't have much to talk about tonight, is there a world where Rizzo saves Tiffany to send Aubrey home to give himself a move? I sent home Aubrey, I exerted my will, and let's say that Tiffany does go out at, 4. We can look at this however it wants, because I agree with you, Ryan. Odds on Tiffany's won too many challenges and she's too strong a performer. She should go at 5. They made the right move. Spoiler alert for my worst player of this portion of the episode, it's NA. But although the other 2 will save theirs. But is there a world where Rizzo does this to add something to his resume, to differentiate himself, and still send someone home who's very likely to beat him?
You could do that, but Tiffany still needs to go. And this is a clean shot at Tiffany. If I'm Rizzo, you still want to get Aubrey out at 4, and then you go to the end with Jonathan and Joe, and then you have you at least have a decent chance of winning, or at least because you've played such a different game, you're setting yourself up for more success by going to the end with Jonathan and Joe together. So I think you just don't risk it and take the shot at Tiffany here. Ideally, you've done more up to this point to give yourself a resume, but I get not playing the idol on Tiffany here.
Right, and we have discussed this in the past. Has anybody changed their mind? Is there a world where Rizzo just doesn't play his idol at all and you never bring it up? Don't do the DK chillin' thing where you're like, look, I had an idol and I didn't even need to use it. We all know the threat of the idol is using it, but is there a world where you just don't play it?
Play it.
Just play it. Yeah, I think we all agree.
Yeah, you might as well just play it. And I guess shout out to Blake, that was on Twitter, for asking that question. So thank you for submitting that. The one thing that I will say is it is irrelevant because it is a boomerang idol and you can only play it on yourself.
Oh,
that's right.
I forgot about that.
Only play it for you. Oh. Thanks, Josh.
Shout out to some random person on social media who I said mentioned that because I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah, I would not have remembered that. Okay, interesting. And
I think that's why it never came up in conversation either, is because not even tonight, but any of the past votes is you can only play it on yourself.
Yeah, So, all right, we all agree that the right person went home. What did social media think?
Social media was at a pretty good consensus here. I'd say about 75% of people said that no,
Oh,
that the wrong person went home right here.
Social media loves Tiffany.
okay. Well, let's get into best and worst player of the final five. I'll go first. My best is Jonathan. Everyone made the right move voting out Tiffany. He also won immunity. So, Jonathan.
Yeah, it's Jonathan.
Yep, I had Jonathan too.
And now, Derek, you already spoiled this, but worst player is...
It's NA, but Tiff went home. She gotta chill. She has got to chill because her pissy attitude right after the Suri vote and at tribal council. You can't do that. You just can't. So she can't win. She's not, eligible. But man, oh man, she tried her best to get me to change my mind.
Yeah, I had NA.
Yeah, NA. But I agree with everything Derek just said.
And I will jump in here because we did have another question that is relevant to this vote.
Okay.
And I'll correct myself. The last question that Derek had brought up was actually from Brandon on Twitter. Blake had asked, when you're on a tribe of only a few people and know you're one of two choices, like Tiffany and Aubrey, would it be a good strategy to try and align with the other person on the bottom and blindside someone at the top? Or are you better off trying to convince the majority to keep you?
Yeah, that's a great question. It depends on, you got to do some math. How many people can you realistically get? Can you get enough people? Can you get one person to join you and flip and take out somebody else from the top? If you can do that, go for it. But if you don't think you can and you're in self-preservation mode, then yeah, you just got to go for the other person on the bottom and wait to fight another day.
I'll just chime in and say we've actually done this thought experiment on this podcast probably 150 times. Now, it's never cased quite like this, so it's still an excellent question. But we're always talking about look at who's left in the game, look at who you can beat, and oftentimes we'll say like it should be Suri going home, but this episode is pitting it as so-and-so versus so-and-so. When we say that it should be Suri going home, we are saying that these people who are facing head-to-head right now should come together and do the smarter thing. But the problem is the human element, and if you've got two people that have the blinders on, Bruce and Katura style, they're gonna go for each other no matter what Byzantine game theory would have you believe is the right thing to do.
But it's good to remember Survivor is not a binary system.
And that's why it's also important to play a little bit like Devins and a little bit like Aubrey here in 50, where, Jonathan was saying, hey, I just don't think that me and Devins were ever going to work together. And Devins is like, I don't know what you're talking about. I will happily work with you whenever you want. Devins is doing exactly what you're suggesting. He's keeping it open to work with that adversary. And Jonathan's saying, I'm not working with the adversary.
Open doors.
That is the open era, Survivor, polyamory, season 51 coming at you.
That was what I thought when he called it the open era too. I'm like, oh, is it just swingers?
Survivor swingers. Who would want to date a pre-merger?
It's called Love Island, though.
Yeah, Survivor Love Island. Anyway, so no, excellent question,
Yeah,
and something where if you're into game theory, yes, it's very common and a good idea quite often.
Yeah, but just probably not feasible at the final five.
Especially with people like Joe and Jonathan in the game.
Right.
It's tough to do. Final four, Aubrey is the one they want out, but we're going to go to the immunity challenge. It's Samotion. It turns out Aubrey practiced this challenge ahead of time. Well, that is impressive. That's really impressive. She deserves the win for managing to build a Samotion track or buy one and practice that low. Like, that's cool.
I kind of love she did like the inverse of Carson. Like instead of, I guess the true inverse of Carson would be like, I never looked up a challenge and I practiced nothing. But Carson like 3D printed everything and practiced everything. And she's like, I'm going to pick just one. This is the only one I'm going to practice.
The most predictable one, because it's like, all right, it's Survivor 50, and if it's up for a vote, I know that everyone's going to pick Samotion because everyone loves Samotion. So if I get there, I want that to be the one challenge that I practice.
Aubrey, big fan of the podcast, I'm sure, has heard that Samotion is like Josh's favorite challenge of all time, and that's why she practiced that one.
Oh, thanks.
It's
I don't
a
know
lot
if
of
it's my
people's
favorite,
favorite
but it's one of the most iconic.
It's a great challenge.
I still think my favorite is the water wheel of death.
The water wheel of death is great.
Bring it back, Survivor Open Era.
I think I still love Last Gasp.
Last Gasp is also great.
But Aubrey is going to win. And it's fire making. So anyone who's listening to this who voted for fire making, I'm disappointed in you.
I'm disappointed, and I'm also a little mad. I'd love to say that I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed, but I am a little mad because like Survivor
You blew it.
I love Survivor. This is like one of the few things I have a true emotional attachment to outside of like my family and friends.
And you made it worse. Congrats.
Unfortunately, this works out just storyline wise fantastic, just because of the two people that are going to be going to fire.
But do you know what else would be great? If they forced them in, or not forced, if they voted them into a tie into fire making, and then fate had them do it again rather than production forcing them to do
You're
it
not
again.
wrong. You're not wrong.
You could even say that I'm right.
I'm going to even go that far.
We can use affirmative language.
I'm on your side here.
I know you're trying to speak to the poetry, Josh, but I this is my one super pessimistic moment for me in the finale. I was mostly high on it, but I'm not high on this.
So Aubrey's going to tell him Joe is going to go to the end and Jonathan and Rizzo are making fire, which is hilarious because they both lost it last time they played. So that is funny. So Jonathan's really good at it. Rizzo is struggling. Joe is going to give Rizzo some help. And I actually did appreciate this because if I'm Joe, I'm worried about splitting the honor and integrity vote with Jonathan. So Joe's actually probably better served going to the end with Rizzo and Aubrey. So yeah, I would give Rizzo all the help he can get. I know Joe's not thinking that way, but that's the way he should be thinking.
And it's just hilarious because it's the exact same thing that happened in 48, right? And at the time, we're just like, "What are you doing, man? Like helping out someone who's probably going to beat you. That's a bold strategy. But maybe if they lose, they'll take it kindly and vote for you on the jury."
Well, the way that I look at it is if Jonathan goes home and Rizzo's in the final three. If we are to be believed with what we saw in the penultimate episode, which I know I watched separately from you guys, but like Rizzo is not thought of very highly. Maybe like Suri and Ozzy would vote for Rizzo, but I think Suri would probably still vote for Aubrey just out of the respect card.
Yeah.
Joe would get the Zoom Alliance vote plus Jonathan. So I guess it's just the Zoom Alliance vote. He might get 4 votes.
Yeah.
He might just get 4 votes. And more
no
money.
Chance.
And second place.
Absolutely no chance.
I think it could happen. I think that is possible. Because again, we only see 1% of what happens out there. I think that is possible depending on what else happened in that 99. So I'm with Derek on this one.
I suppose if that would happen, the edit would have been completely different, and we would have saw a completely different side of Joe. So sure, it's possible.
We would have to interview Devins again to even find out about the fight they had in the pre-merge and the second fight they had in the post-merge.
So Aubrey brings Joe to the end. Jonathan and Rizzo are getting set to make fire, and we're gonna go to live segment back at the live show, and Jeff brings out Rizzo, and I'm like, oh, is he gonna bring out both Rizzo and Jonathan and do like a weigh-in kind of thing, even though it's after the fact? No, we're just gonna spoil the fact that Rizzo is the final member of the jury. Oh no! Lol. I laughed so hard. This is the best.
Jeff, no.
Just Suri mothering Jeff Probst from the jury bench. Jeff, they haven't done fire challenge yet. I will never forget Suri's face like, oh, Jeffrey Lee Probst, what are you doing?
What have you done? My phone blew up, not just our group chat, multiple other group chats, and one of my coworkers who was watching live. And I work in live TV, so this is a big deal. And so I had a great laugh at this, especially because I am a Jeff Probst hater, and to see him screw up that badly it brings me joy. It brings me so much joy. So take that, Probst, get wrecked.
See, and I went a different direction. I loved that it happened, and like that's showbiz, and of course, like, hey, you take 10 seasons off, you're gonna be a little bit off your game. And I even said, like, I think he's gonna own it. And you know what? He did a really good job just owning it, rolling with the punches, making a joke about it. So honestly, like, as I've always said, Jeff Probst is a great showman. So a great recovery. You did what you could. Unfortunately, you spoiled a small part. Luckily, it wasn't a close competition. So this ended up being better for entertainment.
Yep.
Across the board. And again, authentic human moments make Survivor better. Just saying. Just saying. Don't need the beast coin. Just saying.
Yeah, I like that he called this a peek into the future twist.
Ah, and yes.
He just gave himself a great idea for another twist.
Oh no. We've already done time travel with the Hourglass Vanish. We don't need more time travel on Survivor.
I'm really curious if they are going to edit this for streaming in the future.
I hope they don't.
Leave it. It's gold.
It's
gold.
it's great stuff.
It's in the conversation for most memorable moment of the season, I think.
It's in the conversation for like most memorable reunion show moment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, okay, Rob and Amber, number one, probably forever and always, but like
I'd have to really go through that.
Rosie O'Donnell
riding in
on Colby's motorcycle.
Yeah.
That's up there. But like Jeff Probst spoiling a part of the finale, that's great.
like a major part of the finale.
Whoopsies.
They spend 15 minutes building up that like there's a spark of hope for Rizzo, and then Jeff's like, "Do you ever think about practicing fire before you came out here, dude? Go sit on the bench."
But yes, Jonathan wins, so we're going to lose Rizzo at 4 at firemaking again. That is hilarious. This is a shout we called a while back now, and that is hysterically funny.
He willingly did not practice fire. He willingly did not practice fire going into 49, lost, went home, had 2 weeks, I think, so, something like that.
Maybe practice fire.
And said himself, "I did not practice fire." Why? As worst move of the season was that.
Oh, yeah, quite possibly, yeah.
I know it had like probably you could say that was preseason, but you got time to practice during the season too.
And he didn't.
If I felt like there was a real chance that Rizzo would have won the game if he had one fire here, I would agree that it was worst move of the season, but it's still a horrible move that you go out at fire and then you go home and you double down on like, you know what, there's no way that happens again. Like he framed the whole thing as like I played my whole game to not end up in exactly this scenario. Dude, it's Final Four. Half of the people end up in fire making. What do you mean you played your entire game to not have this happen?
I would say, yeah, the strategy wasn't, hey, I'm going to prepare for fire for, the 50-50 shot that I'm there. It was, hey, I'm going to prepare for the person to bring me to final three. Like, was that the strategy? I don't know, because he wasn't winning any challenges.
Yeah,
so
it's not
that
Rizzo.
means
Yeah,
that he has to rely on the person who wins immunity to bring him to final three. I don't know.
It's bad. It's real bad. I would like to see Rizzo play again, and in the meantime, actually, I don't know. I don't care one way or another if he practices fire or not, because if he gets to the Final Four and loses in fire making again, it'll be hilarious. And if he wins in fire making, it'd be cool. So yeah, bring Rizzo back for a third time. Whatever, it's fine.
No, bring him back again. And I really, genuinely hope this stubborn guy does not practice fire. It would be so funny.
Yeah.
Now, if he would have beaten Jonathan here, do you think he had a shot against Aubrey?
No.
I think he did.
I just maybe if there was more we hadn't seen, but it seemed like he annoyed some people. I just don't think he'd done enough.
Going up, and you could look at Derek's dank downs throughout the season. Up until the penultimate episode last week, I would have said that Rizzo probably should beat Aubrey. And then last week happened, and we got finally some insight into the social game that I guess Tiffany's a threat, and I guess Rizzo's not. I still don't know what to do with that information other than use it to say that I don't think that he was ever beating Aubrey. That's the only useful thing I can do with that information at this point.
Josh, best player of the Final Four.
At Aubrey, she won the game.
Yep, she won immunity, and I think she made a smart move taking Joe to the end, so I have Aubrey.
Yep, but also Rizzo, by not practicing fire, really doing his best to try and make me break our rules again.
Yeah, worst player, I have none.
Yeah, I have no worst player, but Rizzo really trying.
It would be Rizzo, but no.
I'm going to toss one out there for Joe, just because, what are you doing just helping someone again?
But I think it was a good call for him. I think that if Rizzo beating Jonathan is better for Joe.
I agree. I'm glad you're throwing it out there because it is a move. It is a choice that he made. I don't think that he knew that it was strategically good for him to send Jonathan home because I think he had every intention of going to the end with Jonathan.
Yep.
But hey, a good move is a good move.
Yeah.
I guess.
Sure. Okay, I'll go NA then.
There we go. Final three, we're going to briefly get a loved one's visit, which, first time since 40, we've had one of these. So let's bring these back regularly. They're usually good.
Featuring Joe's very tall wife.
She's very tall.
Because Joe is very tall. And then she was taller than he was.
She just put her hand out on top of his head.
She good boyed him on national television. And then Mario came and visited Jonathan as well. I loved his outfit pick. That was amazing.
Does that make Jonathan Luigi?
It has to. And Jonathan doesn't really give off Luigi vibes. Jonathan gives off I was once Luigi, and then I decided to hit the gym and become yoked.
Yeah, he gives off Donkey Kong vibes. I can see him doing that.
Yeah, I can see it too.
So is this basically saying... Is this basically Survivor saying, hey, we want to do loved ones visits, but we can't pay for 8 people to come out?
Well, they can, and they should.
Do loved ones visits, you cowards.
Yep.
Final 6.
Final 6. Final 6, final 7, somewhere in there.
Yeah, just do it.
Just do it.
It's good. So we're going to go to the Final Tribal Council. We don't need to go through everyone because a lot of it was a bit... They kind of went over the same things over and over a few times. But basically, the synopsis was Joe learned and grew that he does have to lie and break trust to win at this game. And so he did, but not that much. He did, but just not a ton.
Well, I think it's... I wouldn't even say not a ton. I think he did. I think that he was... fluid enough in this game for who Joe is. And that is a big step for Joe. Unfortunately, it's not a big enough step to win the game of Survivor. It's more so congrats, you have made changes to your game. Respect. What else is there? And when it comes to, hey, what kind of secrets did you keep, or what kind of moves did you pioneer yourself? And he can't really answer those questions. Yeah, that makes sense for what Joe's game ended up being.
Yep. So yeah, the first question is Coach asks what value they had to compromise in order to get here. Aubrey said she had to get over her fear and ignore it, her fear of hurting people. And Jonathan basically said he used his social game and tailored it to each person and then used the information he gleaned from those connections against them. So really good, strong answers from all three of them pretty much all the way through, I thought. This was a really solid Final Tribal Council.
And I want to harken back to Coach asking this question to Joe. Now, Coach said that if Joe says that he started out with honor and integrity and then became a liar, that he would give Joe his vote. And then in total Coach fashion, absolutely did not do that. So he went out the same way he came in, man. I love it. He probably thinks that, there was congruence there, but there was not.
Devins is going to ask them about if they managed to keep any secrets. And what was interesting to me is Aubrey's like, nope, I told everything, not to everyone, but I selectively told everything to people. I used information as currency to improve my standing in the game, which is exactly what you should do. And I loved it. That was a great answer.
And it's the truth. But it bears mentioning that the Aubreys of the world can't tank your game if you can keep a secret for yourself. Secrets in the game that are well kept and well timed are very, very powerful. And for exactly this reason, because, Jonathan may have won the power broker advantage, but Aubrey did a lot of information brokering in the game. Mm-hmm. Don't give her the ammo.
Ozzy wants to know how they adapted, and Aubrey is another great one. She realized she was kind of seen as being with Christian, Emily, and Devins and as a dangerous group. So she separated herself from them and helped vote out Christian and kept Emily and Devins in the dark about that one. So, again, another really strong one from Aubrey.
Yeah, that was a really good point, just because I was worried that Aubrey was just going to keep rehashing the same 1 or 2 moves. And I think that was a really pivotal point in the game where it shifted. And it shifted in a way that I wasn't a fan of, just based off of who was going to meet their demise because of, that shift. But it's a shift that gets Aubrey in the direction of winning the game. So, yeah, definitely good on her of diversifying her answers for that.
Yep.
On the flip side, Jonathan, I think that he basically like adaptability wise, he kind of just rehashed the same thing that he had already said.
Yeah, just kind of about using his connections. He is going to reveal that he drove both the D and the Camilla votes because he was left out of the Charlie vote. So he instigated a fight with D on purpose to put attention on her. Okay, that worked and took out D, but you pissed off D, you pissed off the mayor of Ponderosa. It worked. It was a move that worked to take somebody out of the game. But you got to remember, they got to come back and vote for you, and D was never going to do that, and certainly influenced people away from Jonathan. So I feel like this is a case of Jonathan winning the battle but losing the war.
And we even said it way back then. You had Coach fighting with D already. You didn't have to throw more gasoline on the fire. Now, if you're trying to go to the jury and say, like, I took Coach, I took D, two very volatile personalities when pushed in certain ways, and I had them fight on the beach. And guess who nobody was looking at that point? Me. That was a strategic point because I wanted D gone, and between Coach and D in this particular game at that moment, D was a bigger threat, and Coach was in my alliance. It was absolutely strategic to play their emotions against each other. That's much better than what he did, which was kind of jumping into it and being emotional. So we called our shot on that one, and it's funny that it came up at Final Tribal.
Yep.
That's a good point, just because people talk about manipulation on Survivor all the time, and it's usually used in the context of, oh, I manipulated someone to get them to vote the way that I wanted them to. It doesn't have to be that way. You can manipulate someone to use their emotions to, blow up someone else's game. And you could have it look bad for D and get her out of the game while just getting off scot-free, and while you're just sitting there in the hammock the entire time.
Sandra with the fish.
Yep. So yeah, Jonathan, I think he loses because of that, just because he does have that prickly social game where he can get emotional and he can get into it with people. You want to keep a cool head instead of a hot head.
He's an intense guy, and it doesn't come across as like you being in control when that intensity comes out. And we saw the intensity every time he won something. He didn't win a lot individually, but he won some things. I can imagine that in those tense social situations or in those strategic conversations, be it with Joe or other people that are considered floaters, he probably came across as very like bullish or bruising. And if that's something that has to be managed, that's not going to be favored kindly for people who wanted to play a different game and never felt like they had a voice with him.
So it's going to be 8 votes for Aubrey, 3 votes for Jonathan, 0 for Joe. The alleged Zoom alliance of Stephanie, Coach, and Chrissy all vote for Jonathan. So the question is, who would we have voted for? Josh?
I would have voted for Aubrey. It's interesting, though, because I did think that Jonathan had some really good points in Final Tribal here. I thought that he did a lot better than what I was expecting. And I think that, this is where the giant, it depends on, how you feel about the person when you're on the island. If you take out the social part of the game, because we can't judge that right now, if you take out the social part of the game, you could absolutely make an argument for Jonathan. It's more of a reason not to vote for him versus a reason to vote for Aubrey. If I'm in the Zoom Alliance, I would vote for Jonathan. If I'm not in the Zoom Alliance and, I can get annoyed by Jonathan, I'm not voting for Jonathan. So, but I'll go with Aubrey.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of it would depend on who I got along better on the island with, which I would suspect is probably Aubrey. I can bro down, but I don't know. I probably would get along better with Aubrey on island. So I think she had the better social game, but it's close. Strategic game is kind of a toss-up. Physical game goes to Jonathan, but I think I would lean Aubrey.
I would have voted for Aubrey, but what I'll say about Jonathan's game, I was very impressed with how he did remake himself from his first game to his second. And I think of all players, he played the most transformative game for himself. And we didn't even really highlight this answer because it was more, I guess, of an opening statement, but he said that he looked at how he played in 42, and he basically needed to get rid of all of that. And we saw it back in episode 1, and he really did live that. With the exception of maybe being still very intense socially and coming across as a little bit grisly, a little bit forward. But, in terms of having strategic agency and being thoughtful about it, he made great strides. I would see Jonathan back again based on what I saw on 50, just because we got a completely different game. That said, I'm still voting for Aubrey this time because Jonathan has ways personally and in the game that he can grow to where if he does something similar to this and comes out at the end, he could win. So I'll just say that for Jonathan. He deserves his flowers for what he was able to do.
Yeah, I would say he's most improved, probably. I have to make sure, I'd have to go through everybody and make sure, but I'd say improved from previous game, he might be the most improved. And then I would also say Jonathan 2.0 played better than Aubrey 2.0.
Yes.
So there's that. To give Jonathan some flowers, his game was solid. Very, very, very solid.
And if we're taking points at home, I liked how Josh said that if you look at it from a strategic standpoint, Jonathan probably should have won, but if you factor in the social game, Aubrey wins. That's exactly what happened to Aubrey and Korong. Just throwing that out there. So there is a little bit of poetry there as well.
So we go into the reunion show. Not much to say here, but Suri wins the Sia Award. No surprises there.
And we give a Land Cruiser to Aubrey.
And Aubrey gets a car.
And you know what? I don't usually stump for this, but I love Land Cruisers. When I went on safari in Tanzania, I had no opinions about Land Cruisers, and I left Tanzania going like, wow, that is the coolest car that I will never own. So I have no idea what Aubrey's gonna do with a Land Cruiser. She's probably gonna take it to Caribou Coffee or something. I don't know, but I love that Land Cruiser. So good for her.
Yeah, she's from New England, so it'll probably be Duncan.
Yeah, she'll go to Duncan. Yeah. She didn't even know what a Caribou Coffee is.
And before we move on, we did also ask social media if the right person won Survivor. And oddly enough, the polls were pretty much a toss-up. It was basically 50-50. Interestingly enough, different by social media platform. So I will say that Threads was 76% yes, while Twitter was 69% no.
Nice.
Yeah. Well,
that,
no.
I mean, that tracks.
I don't know if that's a demographics of each platform issue, but I'll let you interpret that as you wish.
Let's move on to best and worst player of the season. Of the top 14 players, we can only include the top 14, those who made the merge. Who is the best and worst player of the season? I'll kick us off. I think best is Suri. What else needs to be said?
I would do Suri, but she went out at 6.
So?
I look, I know it's possible, but for this cast in this group, I'm giving it to Aubrey. She deserves it. She played a miserable first episode. She was standoffish with Genevieve. She wasn't starting dialogues, she pendulumed too far in the wrong direction, but she found her feet at the right time. And like we say on this podcast all the time, pre-merge, it don't matter. She turned it on in the post-merge and won. And did threat management and talked about that being an active part of her game. Suri being Suri can't really do threat management, and unfortunately, the holes that were in her game coming in, she couldn't overcome those. So I'm giving it to Aubrey.
Suri finishing 6th, I think, matters if you are looking at a newbie season. I would never give best player of the season to someone who finishes in 6th or even 5th, I don't think, in a completely newbie season, because that just means that, they didn't do a great job at threat management throughout the game, and you got booted before even Final Four. With a returner season like this, when there is threat management built into you pre-game going in, I think that really matters. And so I am going to give it to Suri, because I think that she was by far the best player of the season. Like, I don't even think it was close that she was the best player of the season. She should have been out way in the pre-merge. The amount of moves and finessing that she did throughout the game was phenomenal. And something that we didn't even see moves, an abundance of moves like that close to anyone else throughout Survivor 50. Not trying to discredit anyone else's game who made it into the final 5, but they were just kind of there. It was really just everything after, Devin and Suri leaving the game, and then it's just the leftovers. Sorry, but that's just the way that I see it.
For the record, you have given best player to 5th place before. Season 41, Ricard.
Did I really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's season 41. Who cares?
Just saying, you've done it, so I don't want to hear
it. Growth.
Worst player of the season, Derek, who do you got?
I went right back to Joe on this one, and it's mostly because I think about halfway through the post merge or the merge, he was goated. I think everyone wanted to go with him, and I mean, Suri called him out at Final Tribal Council as there being like a Joerism or a Jomerism or whatever.
A jotation.
Oh yeah, the jotation rotation. People are literally babysitting you to keep you as a goat. Like, you are being shepherded for slaughter. There were a lot of bad players or who had miserable games. Coach was not good this season. Chrissy, again, not good and worse than her first game. But Joe did it for longer. And I mean, yeah, he grew some, but not really by his own volition. It was just kind of Jonathan dragging him by his ear and not letting himself get bowled over by Joe. So I have Joe.
Yeah, I absolutely have Joe. When you learn almost nothing, like Derek said, growth, congrats. There's something there. But it really didn't seem like his self-awareness changed at all from first season to second season. He was lucky to get a vote in the first season, and he got 0 votes this time. It's a trend at this point, and it's just Joe's game.
Yep, it's Joe. Jeff watched. There was a lot of Jeff just Jeffing with season 50. Yeah. And then he obviously screwed up production by revealing that Rizzo got eliminated before he did. Anything else on Jeff Watch?
I just generally like Jeff as a host of the show. I remain true that he's an excellent showman. I love that he participated in a challenge this year. The production gaffe was absolutely hilarious. So that's really all I have for Jeff Watch. I also tell him I have a bit of advice for him to practice his live TV skills with a Z.
Weather report, anything?
Nothing for the weather report because there's nothing to say. But if I can circle back, I just want to point out that I had 2 forks left, and they were Joe and Jonathan. So I managed to hit my forks on the head this season as well.
Good for you.
Nice stabbing with those forks.
I stuck a fork in people at just the right time.
And finally, the most memorable moment of the season. Josh is our memorability correspondent. Josh, what do you want to do here?
There's a lot of twists and turns that happened this season. Lots of celebrity cameos, things getting spoiled on live TV, loved ones visit coming back. Those are more recent ones, and of course all the huge big name castaways that we saw coming back again. To me, feel free to disagree, but I think for me it is going to be, oh gosh. As I'm saying this, I'm second guessing myself because it is between 2 for me. It is between Rick Devens and the Beast Coin flip, and Rick Devens and the Idol at Tribal Council.
I think those are the 2.
It's close. It's real close. I'm leaning towards the Beast Coin, surprisingly.
If I had my pick, I would pick the fake Idol just because I like that more.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you any input. You're the memorability consultant. I was going to say Zach Brown, but, you've overruled me.
Absolutely not.
This is not an enviable position that we've put you in. 50 seasons in the making.
I'm going to say the Beast Coin. Just because brand new twist, and it worked out with our buddy Rick Devens. And also the fake Idol was split into kind of like 2 moments. So that makes it a little bit difficult too. There's the execution of hiding the Idol and then grabbing it at Tribal Council. So, the attention's kind of split there. So I'm going to go with the flipping of the Beast Coin.
Can't fight you. I can't.
You know what? I know that you win, but for me, I'm going to just try and make my most memorable moment of 50 Rick Devens.
Just Rick Devens.
Like we interviewed Rick Devens.
That's the true most memorable moment of season 50.
And then he had that season, and like he had a chance to beat Suri straight up based on what he was doing. There was a chance. Yep. So like Rick Devens, everything related to Rick Devens is my most memorable moment of 50. Thank you, Rick, for giving me someone wonderful to root for all season long.
Yeah. For me, the most memorable moment of the season is the fact that we got to interview him. Do we have any other questions that we wanted to get into?
Yeah, actually we do. Let's start with this. Just a quick question about Samotion. Had a Samotion strategy. Is it strategically advantageous to play Samotion left-handed since the drop is on your left and you can more quickly reach it if you get in a tight spot?
Sure. I would still probably go with dominant hand, but if you're ambidextrous, yeah, maybe go lefty.
I would say if you're ambidextrous or if you're a baseball player, if you're used to catching things with your left hand, there is a world where that makes sense. But I'm going with my dominant hand when I place a motion.
Yeah, I would never trust my left hand. But if you're lefty, congratulations, because I do think that there might be something there. T Fox on Twitter asks, do you think Jeff should play more of a role? And I'm glad this person asked this because it really irked me during Final Tribal Council. So they asked, do you think Jeff should play more of a role as a mediator for non-questions like we saw tonight with Stephanie? Should the jury be allowed to make the case for players, or should the players have to find their way by maneuvering through the presented questions they're given by the jury?
If you want to waste your time doing a stump speech, go for it. I don't care. It's fine.
My issue with what happened tonight was really with, like, especially Chrissy was bad. Stephanie, that was more of a stump speech than anything. I think that Tiffany getting upset about her basically pitching Jonathan, like, who cares? Whatever. We've seen stump speeches all the time. Chrissy really bothered me because she would interrupt people, including people who are still in the game, like trying to like give answers to give her point of view on everything. And it just really bothered me how much she interjected, because we didn't really see that from other jury members.
Doesn't bother me. I've said I've been a fan of this change to the more of a discussion-based Final Tribal Council over what it used to be when we started doing this with Game Changers, and that still rings true. So it doesn't bother me.
There's a point where I think Jeff would step in as a mediator, but nothing that we saw tonight warrants him to step in and get in between, the contestants conversing. Like, if Chrissy wants to make a fool of herself on national television by interjecting every time someone else wants to say something nice about someone who isn't named Jonathan, like, that's Chrissy's prerogative. Now, if Chrissy won't let anyone else talk and is bully bruising her way through what this is supposed to be a more free flow conversation, then Jeff's got to come in and say no. And that's if other people out there, and I believe they wouldn't be doing it themselves. I think they would. But like Ryan said, if Stephanie wants to do a stump speech instead of asking a question, that is her prerogative. It's her time. She earned her spot on the jury, same as everyone else on the jury. She can spend that time however she wants. It doesn't need to be a question.
The greatest moment in all of Final Tribal Councils is a stump speech. Sue Hawk, Snakes and Rats. It was a stump speech for Richard Hatch. We all love it.
Yep.
This person also followed up and mentioned a couple of things, maybe related to like timing and about just kind of like wasting time as jury members. Just to clarify, there isn't really a time limit to Final Tribal Council, is there?
No.
It goes until it's done.
Famously, 42 went on for hours and hours before they decided they were good to vote for, like, Marianne.
Good clarification, just because this was something that they were concerned about. Micah asks, not necessarily specific to this season, but just a general question. Is it more impressive to come in second, and therefore definitionally you've gone to the end with someone who can beat you, or to be the last person voted out, fourth place in this season, and therefore be one challenge away from potentially winning while having been enough of a threat to be voted out at the end?
Probably more often, I would say fourth is more impressive, but not always. There are some impressive second placers for sure, but I would say just in general, I'd say there's more. You're like, oh, you were so close. The what could have been, the fallen angel, the last member of the jury is I would say more prestigious almost.
Yeah, and I'll get to the root of the question a little bit. Like, going out at fourth place now, I don't think is all that impressive because it's not a vote anymore.
Yeah, fifth might be better.
Be better. Practice fire, for goodness sake. Like, that's on you. So to me, it's kind of fifth place, but I get the point of the question. Like Ryan said, like, Austin was a great second place finisher against D, and he should be proud of that, even though he definitionally went to the end. But if he had gone home at fifth, that would be less impressive because that would have been worse threat management by him. So it's situational, but generally I agree with what Ryan said. You want to give yourself the best shot to win.
Yeah, I think you guys summed it up nicely.
Okay, last thing we got to check in with is the survivor pool. We got to crown a champion.
Do we?
Yep.
Because we're not.
Oh, is it a tie?
It's a tie.
Oh, okay. We have a tie. All right. So we have multiple winners. That's okay. What do we got?
And It's interesting because you could look at this in a couple of different ways. First off, as mentioned last week, Joe had been my last person, so I did not have a pick for this week. So technically, that is the point of where I would be out. We also had Nicole, who had no one that she could pick, so she was out. Troy had no one left to pick, so he is out. And then Matthew had no one left to pick, so he was out. For the people who did have people left, and I'll shout them out now: Susan, Berkey, Fairway Dave, Ben, and Avery. None of them had someone go home in the first episode or the first, vote. They all either had Joe or Aubrey. And those were the two people that people were choosing between. After that, only one person had another person to choose. Everyone only had one person going into finale except for Avery. Avery had two people remaining. However, her second person remaining was Tiffany.
Oh, okay. So she had no one left to pick at that point.
Yep. So it was a 5-way tie.
Wow.
Between those people.
Congrats, though. That's awesome.
Congrats. You played as well, basically, as you could have. Well done, all 5 of you. So, yeah, we have 5 reigning champs now. So, congrats going into season 51. The 5 of you can go for a two-peat.
Yep.
Yeah, you were all champions in our eyes, and you beat all of us. So, congratulations.
Perhaps they should be the real consultants.
Yep. And, yeah, since I didn't have anyone to pick going into this week, they all beat me. So...
Yep.
Congratulations.
Josh loses, so that makes him equal to Derek and I.
Yep. Just as big of a loser.
You guys can just tell yourselves that. That's fine. Whatever helps you sleep at night.
I'm sorry. I can't hear you over the sound of the 4 crowns I wear on my head. Oh, it's so heavy.
These 5 listeners are basically Aubrey, while I'm Suri.
Of course.
Interesting. You guys hear that? Look at this guy. This narcissist.
And then you guys are like Chrissy.
Oh wow,
that's just rude.
If we're doing that, I want to be the coach.
Sure, you can be coach.
I'll be coach.
I don't even know who I'd rather just not be involved.
All right. Well, that wraps up season 50. So season 51 will be in the fall. We'll see what the open era is like. But before we get into that, the next thing you're going to hear from us is Survivor Ghost Island. We're going back to the Survivor Rewind. We're going to get spooky up in here. So that'll be the next thing you hear. I don't know if we're going to get to it right away because Derek has a newborn at home. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to discuss. But yeah, Ghost Island. That'll be the next time you hear from us at some point this summer.
Yes. Congratulations, Derek.
Yes.
We said it last week, but congratulations. And no, unfortunately, he did not name his new child after any Survivor players.
Not even close.
No. Though I will say, Genevieve was on the table.
Okay.
Genevieve was on the table, but it was on a couple short lists, but is not the name that we ended up selecting, and was of no inspiration by Genevieve Mushalak, our neighbor to the north. But we can just talk about all of this however we want. But everyone is at home, happy and healthy and recovering.
I'm bummed you didn't go with Abby Maria.
Yeah, I should have done. If I would have, she'd have been born with a torn ACL.
Man. But yeah, everyone's doing good.
Everyone's doing as good as they can be. Mom is happy and recovering, and baby is loud. So,
and you're podcasting,
and I am podcasting tonight. Thank you, Nancy, for helping at the house tonight. That is Sarah's mother. So thank you so much. I asked 500 times before I came, and she said I was expecting you to go, and you should. You missed one episode. So in case everyone is wondering how much support I get at home, it's all of it. And actually, it's a good segue now. We always do one segment at the end of every live season where we do thank people. I just want to thank my wife especially for supporting me to come and do this every Wednesday with a 4-year-old at home. She was pregnant for a lot of this season. And obviously, we just had a kid a week ago, and I'm here podcasting tonight. We don't get paid to do this. This is not my living. This is not my job. This is just fun. So thank you, Sarah, for supporting me. But it probably helps that she had Aubrey as her winner pick because she just loves Aubrey.
Yep.
So good for her on that one.
What's she watching tonight?
She was
So yeah, we have a league, and the winner of every season gets a buff. So Sarah, congrats on winning the buff this season.
Yep. So, but big thanks to Sarah, my wife, for all the support on that one. But thanks to Ryan, he edits all of these in one night, except for the one time where we had some kind of goofy technical stuff this season. But it's always coming out next day, and it's always real crisp, and I appreciate that. And then Josh does all the social media stuff, and really, what do I even do around here?
You executive produce, because my mixer was on the fritz. It was on its last legs, and Derek was kind enough to buy a new mixer. So thank you very much, Derek.
I'm just glad that I can pay for that in Zoom Pro, Yes. So no more shutting down the meetings after 25 minutes or whatever. So
oh my God, the dark days.
The dark days.
They were so bad, guys.
That was rough. And thank you finally to the listeners, everyone who listens and supports and rates and reviews and leaves comments and all that fun stuff. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and it's surreal to us that people care what we think.
Yeah, and not that anyone is really super keeping track, but like our smallest episode on season 50 was bigger than all of our other previous episodes, except maybe the finale of Winners at War. So you guys really have made season 50 our biggest here, so we continue to grow and have a good time doing that. But really, it's just fun to have a little Survivor community in the corner of the internet ethos that we can call our own. So yeah, big thank you to you guys for that. Josh, you got anything?
Yeah, we've had a couple of people who, ask like, oh, I want to support you guys. Is there a way to donate or have a Patreon or something like that? We don't have any of that stuff. Maybe at some point in the future we would do it. But, right now it's so much better to just say, rate us, share it with a friend, engage with us on the comments. The last couple of seasons has really grown as far as not only how many people are listening and downloading, but also the interactions, all the comments that we're getting in, replies or the Spotify comments. And that's so much more enjoyable to see the growth in that. So that is how you can support us, and it's the best way to do so.
On that note, guys, do we have anything else?
Until next season.
All right, well, I guess that's it for season 50. This has been the Castaway Consultants.
Got nothing else for you.
Good night.